Welcome to the Occupational Safety Leadership Podcast, episode number 16, Lockout-Tagout Removal Steps. It's been a while since episode 2 when we talked about applying Lockout-Tagout. I then switched gears and did other things, talking to guests, and now we're back to a very big topic. The last couple have been on Lockout-Tagout. Now we're going to talk about Lockout-Tagout removal. Lockout-Tagout applied, machine is safe, maintenance is done. Now it's time to give it back to production, and let's talk about the steps that we're going to take to give it back to them. So it's just a step-by-step process. So it's a 5-step process then. So let's look at the first step. We're going to go ahead and put all the guards back on then. So typically a guard is going to be yellow or orange or just something that's going to be super obvious. It has to come off, and it's just basically keeping a piece of your body out of the point of operation, whether it's a sprocket, gear, chain, belts, pulleys, whatever it's guarding basically. Step 2, remove the tools. So we'll go ahead there and take and make sure that there's no tools around. We don't have any spare parts somehow. I know that when I was a bald-faced boy, my very first car, I would always fix, and I'd always have an extra nut or bolt around, and never figured out where it went, but yet the car ran still. Obviously, in this case, of course, we want to make sure that it all goes back then. So, number 3, inspect machine and equipment. You're going to make sure that at this point it's really set and ready to go. So some things have a start point, so the machine's got to be in a certain configuration to even start, or it just doesn't do what it has to do. So sometimes you have to kind of put it back in that start point then. Step 4, notify employees that you're done and ready to go then. So this is a overlooked step because as humans, we're flawed. Communication is difficult. Sometimes a person is on lunch or taking a break, or you're literally just getting it done on third shift for the first shift person who's coming in. Step 5, we take off the lockout-tagout. Any of the locks, anything that we did to make this thing energy safe. We can now go back. The operator can now run this machinery. Some things are very easy. It's just a simple plug, whereas others are going to have chemical energy, mechanical energy, spring, gravitational, just gravity in itself. When you take off electrical power, hydraulics, or something else to hold this up, it will naturally, of course, obviously, gravity will bring it down to the earth then. So at this point, the employees can go back and use the equipment then. So what do we do if we're working on a piece of equipment and we're going to switch it over to the next maintenance person? Let's say that you're doing it on second shift and you can't finish it up. You give it to the person on third shift, but the guy on second shift has all of his stuff on then. So this is a common thing. We do a very good job of talking about how we're going to bring it back online, but we never kind of really plan for those events, like what happens if the person who put on everything is not there? How do you get off that lockout-tagout stuff? So the first thing that we're going to do, and a lot of this comes right from the standard itself, so it's really not outside the box thinking, but these are often steps that people they just kind of have a hard time getting going at this thing. So the first thing is that the employer verifies that the authorized employee who applied the device is not at the facility. They could be home, or who knows where they're at. They're just not there. So physically, they're not there to do this then. The employer has made reasonable attempts to contact the authorized employee. Calling at home, cell phones, of course, are obviously super common nowadays. You can still find a couple of companies that use the old style pager system then, but they have to do everything they can to, in a reasonable effort, of course, obviously contact the employee. And then the third step is that you just take the lock and cut it off then. So When the person comes back, you have to tell them as soon as possible when they came back about everything that transpired, how it happened, how they got the tool back up and running, turned it over to production and everything. Um, but this is something that does happen at times, and not just with your own internal employees, but when you think about contractors. If you're doing a long-term job and somebody locks it out, tags it out, the crew is coming back the next day. The person who locked it out and tagged it out, they called out sick. They got a flat tire, whatever the deal is. So this is actually relatively common out in industry. The person who starts it is not always the person who finishes it for this maintenance activities. And that is it. Short and sweet. It's a 5-step process then for lockout tagout removal. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. My name is Dr. David Ayers. Have a safe day.